The spiritual landscape of Myanmar, formerly Burma, is characterized by a profound blend of orthodox Theravada Buddhism, ancient animism, and esoteric mystical practices. This syncretic cosmology gives rise to a particularly rich, complex, and often chilling tradition of ghost stories and spiritual warnings. For centuries, the people of Myanmar have negotiated the practical coexistence of these belief systems, believing that spirits can be found everywhere, in homes, forests, temples, and streets. While Theravada Buddhism emphasizes the concept of anicca, impermanence, and the cycle of rebirth, samsara, traditional animism provides explanations and mechanisms for immediate, localized terror. Ghosts and legends primarily stem from the fear of the Natsin, vengeful spirits, and other entities who suffer a raw death, a sudden, violent, or unjust end, which prevents them from moving through the cycle of rebirth. These restless spirits remain bound to the mortal world, demanding acknowledgement, respect, or appeasement, and often actively seeking retribution or replacements among the living. The horror in Myanmar's folklore is therefore highly structured, rooted in specific cultural rules regarding spiritual confinement, retribution, and the dangerous power wielded by entities who met unfortunate ends. To navigate these terrifying narratives, it is crucial to understand the hierarchy of malicious supernatural entities. Nat, vengeful spirit. Spirits of humans who died sudden, violent, or unjust deaths, often linked to the 37 great Nats. Malevolent ones seek human replacements or cause disease. Ogre or demon, Belu. Shape-shifting, often man-eating giants from mythology. Primarily malevolent, though some are flower eaters. Ghost or restless spirit, Nat sign. General ghosts or spirits of the recently deceased, especially those who suffered a raw death, murder, or accident. Spirit of cursed objects, Atsa Sonk. Beings cursed to roam due to strong attachment to objects or places, often guarding relics or treasure. Mystic or wizard, Baitsa. Practitioners of esoteric Buddhism, alchemy, spells, aiming for immortality, feared for potential black magic or sorcery. The Nats, vengeful spirits, are complex spiritual beings, often possessing a divine status, yet retaining the destructive emotional volatility of their human origins. The Great Nats, a special group of 37, are almost universally people who met violent ends. Their legends focus on obtaining either worship or lethal replacements. The legend of Ma Feiwa, the coffin bearer of the graveyards, is a compelling narrative of how an unjustly killed person transforms into a specifically domestic and malevolent Nat. She began her human life as a normal woman from a small town, relying on her older brother, a clerk who later became a fugitive. They settled near a lake and took up fishing. One rainy night, the brother, who was drunk, tragically mistook his worried sister for a demon and killed her. Overcome by his great sin, he could not even look upon the Buddha image at the Shwedagon pagoda. After her violent death, Ma Fiwa became a spirit who was eventually allowed by a sympathetic abbot to reside in the local cemetery, becoming its guardian. The horror stems from her midnight ritual. She hoists a coffin onto her shoulder and shuffles through town, her long hair waving in the spectral breeze. The terror is highly personalized and visceral. If she stops and lays the casket on a household's doorstep, a family member, typically a young child, will soon sicken and die. This mechanism demonstrates the capacity of a once benign guardian spirit to mutate into a targeted killer, driven by her unresolved, painful existence. The fear of this gnat is deep-seated, evidenced by the fact that in the late 1990s, after she allegedly announced in a dream that she intended to eat babies, security-conscious parents posted signs in front of their homes stating chillingly, "Baby's flesh is bitter, dog's flesh is sweet," as a form of supernatural deterrence. In Burmese ghost lore, some gnats are bound to sacred sites, especially deep pools inside cave pagodas, unable to escape unless a human soul takes their place. This cycle of spiritual incarceration is known for its terrifying method, replacement through death. The imprisoned gnat manipulates human minds with dreams and hallucinations, luring victims back to the sacred place where death awaits them. One gnat, Ukta Zaunt, is known for her siren-like voice that lures men with soft calls. If they respond, she captures them, swapping her confinement for theirs. A boy once dreamed of a treasure-filled pond inside a cave pagoda he had visited. Obsessed, he returned alone to the cave to find it. Driven by greed, the boy sneaked into the cave in real life, determined to find the treasure he saw in his dream. Days later, villagers found his lifeless body floating in the sacred pool, chained at the wrists and ankles. The gnat, now free, has traded places. The boy's soul is shackled eternally, replacing her beneath the sacred pool. The tale warns of the danger of greed and spiritual disrespect, especially in sacred spaces. Even in a Buddhist context, worldly desires can doom a soul. Minma Hagiri, Lord of the Great Mountain, and his sister, Hana Madaugi, are two of the 37 great gnats, among the most famous and widely venerated, especially at Mount Popa. But their legend begins with horror. In life, they were brother and sister, once human, but both were killed violently. Their souls became rooted in sacred trees, their death sites now worshipped as divine. Their spiritual homes are large trees. But unlike gentle forest spirits, they are known to hide in trees and devour anybody who comes near. Despite their terrifying origins, they are revered as benevolent spirits who bring good fortune, especially at Mount Popa, where offerings flow daily. This duality, being both deeply venerated and once cannibalistic, reveals how fragile the boundary is between sacred and monstrous in Burmese animism. That the most celebrated deities of Burmese folklore are rooted in man-eating violence highlights the existential fear beneath animist worship. That the divine must always be feared, even as it is loved. Damarangi Temple in Bagan, the widest temple in the entire archaeological park, is feared by locals who call it the Ghost Temple. Its horror is linked to its blood-soaked origin. King Narathu reigned from 1167 to 1170. He seized power by murdering his own father and brother. His court feared him, and his sins ran deep. He executed one of his wives, an Indian princess, simply for maintaining her Hindu hygienic rituals. The execution marked his complete descent into tyranny. He began building the enormous temple to atone for his sins. But his cruelty extended into the very walls. He demanded perfection. He would test the brickwork by trying to fit a nail into the joints. If the fit wasn't perfect, he chopped off the mason's hands. Later, he was assassinated, possibly by the princess's family or rival kings. After his death, construction stopped, and workers sealed the inner corridors with stone and rubble. The temple became a karmic prison, bricked-up corridors holding the spirits of the king, his victims, and the mutilated masons. It is a monument of royal guilt and worker retribution. Mandalay Palace, the last royal seat of the Konbaung dynasty, holds immense cultural weight, but behind its beauty lies a haunted legacy. The palace grounds carry the weight of bloody succession disputes and violent deposals. Kings and queens lost their thrones and their lives within these walls. Visitors often report seeing ghostly figures in full royal attire, kings, queens, and princes, silently walking the grounds at night. Inside the palace, whispers and faint laughter echo from rooms long abandoned. These are not ordinary ghosts. They are distinct spirits of known royals, once kings and queens, and they remain bound to this place, seeking justice or acknowledgement. Their presence marks Mandalay Palace as a monument not just of culture, but of trauma, of a kingdom lost and grievances unresolved. Yangon General Hospital, a massive 2,000-bed hospital opened in 1899, stands as a modern urban site haunted not by politics, but by decades of everyday suffering and death. The hospital has become a powerful spiritual reservoir of Natsain, restless spirits born from ordinary tragedy, pain, loss, illness, and death. Local staff report seeing multiple shadow figures in the bathrooms and hallways, especially at night. Unexplained banging at night and phantom scratches appear on walls, desks, and sometimes even staff. Even modern buildings like Times City experience similar hauntings, reinforcing the belief that human suffering leaves spectral residue regardless of age or architecture. Some report that installing CCTV cameras causes the disturbances to stop, as if being watched breaks the haunt. Others turn to ancient tradition, hiring monks to perform exorcism rituals with candles, incense, and the recitation of Buddhist suttas. The 6 narratives presented demonstrate the depth and complexity of Myanmar's supernatural belief system. The horror is rarely arbitrary. It is tied to karmic consequences, historical injustice, or the need for spiritual replacement. From those 6, we will be presenting in-depth details of the most horrifying spirit in the next movies. Or, if you have any particular story you want us to feature, please leave it in the comment. We will make sure to have that in the future movies. Thank you for watching.